Hey, so I've not been on camera for ages. It feels weird. I'm going to go ahead anyway. I really feel the need to talk about a few things. I've been inspired a lot by Dr. Jordan Peterson. If you've not heard of him, he's a clinical psychologist from Toronto in Canada. And I saw this Channel 4 interview out of the blue on YouTube. I saw it was trending or something. I checked it out, and since then I've been super inspired, and his articulation about life and his perspective on a number of topics is really inspiring at the moment. And a couple of days after I saw the interview, I was like, I've got to look more into this. I ordered his book, 12 Rules for Life, which I've now finished. I really enjoyed it. It's actually one of the best books I've ever come across, and that's kind of inspired me to make this video. I've been wanting to talk about a few things for a while now, and he's really been the catalyst to get me sat in this chair right now and to speak to you guys. So I hope you enjoy the video. I'm going to be talking about my kind of recent life and things that have been happening in my life, and how Peterson and other things have helped me. So first of all, I graduated university in 2016, and I was there for 4 years. I had a great time in many ways, and I was involved in meeting new people, thinking about new ideas, and experiencing new things. And it was really a landmark moment in my life, and I think is for a lot of people, obviously. But it wasn't all great, and I found it a very confusing time and a very bewildering time. I was introduced to a lot of ideas about the environment which I studied, about society, about relationships, and all of this was kind of overwhelming in a way. It was strange. And I didn't have the best time, maybe you could say. But maybe I did have a good time. It was just that I was growing as a person, you could argue in that way. I was being challenged a lot by a lot of different things. I did feel confused in myself, and I didn't have the most solid aim of what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, with my energy and my time. One thing that I've talked about before, which has never been an issue for me, I've never been confused about, is parkour and training parkour. And it's now my 10th year of doing parkour, and I'm still passionate. I'm still getting out there and training. So that's something that was a support for me in university and helped me through some more difficult moments. But I would say that after university was really where I spiraled into a sort of bad way. And this is kind of why I want to make this video, for people who are maybe graduating soon or graduated last year. The world is strange after graduation, and I did feel a sense of aimlessness, and actually that developed into meaninglessness. I started to resent people. I started to resent the way the world worked. I started hating words. I hated a lot of things, and I grew quite bitter. So I wasn't in the best of ways, and I became quite reclusive as well. I think it's easy to do that because I just didn't want to have to keep telling friends that I haven't got a job and I'm not sure what I'm doing, and I felt embarrassed. I felt guilty as well because I felt like a burden. I had to go back and live with my parents, and it felt like starting again. It felt like square one after 4 years away, and it was hard hitting. It was difficult, and I think one thing that Peterson talks about is that suffering is universal. And I totally agree with this. The more I think about it, the more I realise that suffering doesn't matter how rich you are, doesn't matter what nationality you are. Suffering is going to be a part of your life, and suffering will come into your life. Unfortunately, it's going to come. It's going to happen. There's going to be something bad. There's going to be more bad things that will happen to you, unfortunately. But that's kind of the way things work, and it's part of the human experience. And so I was suffering in a way, and reclusing myself and just grinding on my laptop, just trying to find jobs and trying to find something. It wasn't nice. It really wasn't nice. And I guess the things which helped me, firstly, were getting a few little jobs here and there, having a bit of income, having some sort of duty and some sort of responsibility. It did help, and I did do some pretty hard work. You know, I worked on a farm for a while, which is sort of hard manual labour, and did some other jobs, and they had varying degrees of success with them, but they did help me feel a bit more stable. They were almost reference points to kind of to ground myself. You know, it was something that I could. It was some sort of order in my life. I think that's what I'm getting at. So they did help, and I think that's one thing I would recommend, is that if you are starting to feel aimless and you are starting to feel meaningless, nihilistic, then just having something, just something, doesn't quite matter what it is, as long as it's not too soul destroying. Just having something will help. And strangely, some other things really helped me as well. One of them was a adult cartoon on Netflix called BoJack Horseman, which is kind of this strange study of depression and nihilism and meaninglessness and celebrity and chaos and despair, but it's cloaked in comedy, which makes it really enjoyable to watch. And it's super witty, really clever, and definitely very underrated. I don't really hear many people talking about it, but thank you, Tom, for getting me involved in that. It's a great show, and really brought a lot of issues up, which was a sort of catharsis. It helped me. I could relate to the issues about feeling kind of detached from life and reclused. Yeah, I really recommend it. Another thing which helped was just getting things out, you know, writing down my thoughts and feelings, and then talking about them with other people. And I know it's kind of a bit of a cliche thing to say, but having a close friend that will listen to some of your darker moments is, you can't understate the importance of that. And for those people who may or may not be watching this, thank you very, very much for listening to me and for helping me during that time. Getting things out, getting these resentments and the bitterness out, getting it out there, it does help. So eventually I was lucky. I was lucky but hardworking. I managed to sort some things out for myself, and now I feel like I am in a good place, reasonably, and I do feel a lot more stable in my life. But I think what's really helped, and especially reading Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, which I wish I had back then. I really wish he wrote it then. I had a copy, because he's only strengthened my resolve now to kind of take care of myself more and take responsibility for my actions more. It really, he talks a lot about standing strong in the face of adversity, and I wish I'd been inspired by that at the time, because I didn't quite know what I thought about anything, which is a really strange place to be. But Peterson talks about this. He talks about the individual and how it's not always the best idea to go out protesting and to blame blame your suffering, which I talked about before, on society, on the way things happen. That has its place, trust me, but what's often overlooked is the individual, the development of the individual, and that's something that it's been absolutely integral to doing parkour and bettering myself physically. But what Peterson has brought light to is the little things you can do every day which help you maintain a bit of control and I guess order to your life rather than just chaos. And he's become kind of infamous for saying things like, clean your room and things like, and stand up straight with your shoulders back and things like that. And really, it's not so much telling you off. It's not so much telling you what to do, which I guess it can be interpreted like that, but it's more of thinking, well, it's very, very difficult to change these huge, complex societal structures. How about start with the basics? How about start with cleaning your room and having some order within your little area of your life, your house or your room. Get that right first and get that how you want it to be. Have a place of sanctuary so that you can feel good in yourself and at peace, where you are. Then you can progress that towards bigger issues. And this has really struck a chord with me, and I've kind of been, I guess, quite a messy person in some ways. So it's something that I am now really kind of focusing on. And so he talked about this in his book. He talked about a lot of different things and how these attributes of nihilism and hopelessness, they lead down dark routes, and you basically can spiral into despair. And unfortunately, I think especially a lot of young men are feeling this, not just people who have finished uni and are very panicked about what to do. I think young people in general and young men, you only need to look at the statistics about mental health and suicide rates to see that unfortunately these are really big problems, and the feeling of despair, it's not very far away. That's what I've learned, is going one way into despair or going the other way into peace and happiness and fulfillment. They're not far away from each other. It doesn't take much effort on one side or the other to start heading down those routes. So that's something that I was very aware of when I was sort of spiralling a bit and going down that darker route. It can get bad, and for some people, unfortunately, it can get so bad that they value non-being as better than being, which is truly terrifying. So yeah, he talks about that. He talks a lot about that in his book, and that's really inspired me. I do feel better now, and I do feel like having some responsibility in your life and is actually what he would call the shield against adversity, because suffering is universal, it's going to happen. So your shield can be your sense of, in a way, your sense of moral virtue. Telling the truth, standing up for yourself, and trying to be strong. In the face of adversity is the way that you grow and the way that you can actually help not just yourself but help other people. You will develop a strength in yourself after overcoming adversity that can then spread to other people. You can take that feeling and that strength to other people, and that's only going to be a force for good, because at the end of the day, the problem with nihilism is whatever, is that you've still got to get on with things. Whether you think that the universe is meaningless or full of purpose, you still have to get up and go to the toilet and go to work and do things in your everyday life. You've still got to do that for years and years and years. So there really is nothing better that you can do than make things better and to make yourself and other people better, and strive for more perfection and truth. And it sounds almost cringy me saying it, and especially for younger people, I think there's this feeling of, well, it's not really cool when you say stuff like that. But I don't really care, because, you know, in your quieter moments, when you have a think to yourself, or if something bad has happened to you in your life, and you know, you've lost someone or something like that, then you have to realise that there is nothing more relevant. There's nothing more relevant than your own development as a person, and how you are in society. And that's all I can say really, is that for me is completely just pushed that feeling of aimlessness and nihilism away, because as Peterson says, there really is nothing else better you can do. You know, every step that you take is pushing you and your closest friends and family and society as a whole more towards betterness, or it's pushing it more towards hell and suffering and depression and anxiety and suicide. And you have that choice to make, which way you're going to go, you know. Just those tiny little steps, but you are pushing things in one direction or the other. And this is really, this scares me, but it emboldens me, because I know now, I understand the direction that I want to choose. And unfortunately, with my work and parkour and the way my life's going at the moment, I feel like I am in a good place, and I have got that strong resolve to just tell the truth and follow these virtues that maybe I'd lost sight of. So I hope you've found something useful maybe in there somewhere. If not, then Jordan Peterson can articulate these things so much better than me. So go and check out his stuff. If you are interested in the book, 12 Rules for Life, then go and buy it. It's really worth the money. Go and get it at a library at least. Or if you are struggling or whatever, then I can try and post it to you. So if you really want to read it, just comment below or message me, whatever. I'll try and post it to you. I want to go through the effort of getting these ideas to you, because the alternative is quite frankly terrifying, with the way that young people can dissolve and worse. So I'm more than happy to help you out if you want to borrow it or something like that. So I'll conclude by saying that suffering is a part of life, and pain is going to happen in your life. I remember my old primary school teacher, Mr. McCluskey, telling me that bad things are going to happen, and that I didn't understand why he was telling me that then, but I understand now that you have to be ready. You know, you've got to be competent. Competence is power. You've got to put your shield against adversity with your own actions. I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. If you had any thoughts, then leave them below or wherever. It's good to talk about this kind of finally, and thank you for listening, and I'll see you sometime later.